Question number 31 is a very easy and direct question. We are given 5 statements and we need to identify that which among them are a part of the concurrent list under the Indian Constitution. Now before moving to the question, let us understand what do we mean by concurrent list and if there are any other lists. Now the Constitution contains 3 lists. The first one is called Union List and it includes subjects of national importance. For example, defense, foreign affairs, banking, etc. The second list comprises of the State List and it contains subjects of states and local importance. Some examples include trade, health, agriculture, etc. The third and the final list is known as concurrent list and it includes subjects of common interest to both the union and the state government. Now in this context, let us move back to our question. Education is a part of concurrent list as it is a subject of both state and union government. Forests too come under the concurrent list as they are again a common subject for both state and union government. Health, however, as we have already discussed, comes under state list. Marriage and divorce again comes under the concurrent list as it is a common interest subject of both state and union government. Irrigation, however, is incorrect because it comes under state list. Hence, our correct answer would be option B, that is statement 1, 2 and 4 are correct. Please also have a look at the explanations. Question number 32 reads that who among the following constitute the Gram Sabha in a village? Now, under federalism, power is divided between center and states. However, due to the vastness of India, a third tier was added which is known as the local self-government, which was guided by the principle of decentralization. Also, the rural local self-government was known as Panchayati Raj and Gram Sabha is a part of Panchayati Raj. Now, in order to become a member of Gram Sabha, a person residing in a village should be 18 and above and should be a registered electoral voter. And it is in this context that the final and correct answer would be option C, that is all the registered electoral voters in the village, as it also indicates that if a person is registered as an electoral voter, he or she would be 18 or above. Please also have a look at the explanations. Question number 33 contains 2 statements with respect to pressure groups. Now let us first understand what do we mean by pressure groups. Now, pressure groups are organizations with people of common interest and aspirations who try to influence government policies. However, their influence is indirect, which means they do not take part in electoral competitions. Some examples of pressure groups include media, business groups, trade organizations, etc. Now coming back to the question, let us analyze our statements. All pressure groups are political parties and hence exert influence on government policies. Now we have just discussed that pressure groups include people with same occupation or interests and not necessarily political interests. Hence the first statement is very easy and incorrect. Now the second statement says that pressure groups have unhealthy influence on the democracy since they often take positions opposed to each other. Now this statement is again incorrect as pressure groups and their movements have deepened democracy and putting pressure on rulers is not an unhealthy activity in a democracy. Hence our final answer would be option D, that is both these statements are incorrect. Please also have a look at the explanations. Question number 34 reads that with which of the following movements was Nobel laureate Wangari Maathai associated? Now, before moving to the question, let us understand something about this personality. Now, Wangari Maathai was an internationally renowned Kenyan environmental political activist along with being a Nobel laureate. So, we must remember her profession in order to identify our answer. She was awarded with the Nobel Prize in 2004 for her contributions to sustainable development, democracy and peace. With this achievement, she became the first African woman to receive a Nobel Prize, so this fact should also be remembered. Now, in light of this information, let us come back to our question. The correct answer would be option A, that is Green Belt movement, which was initiated by Wangari Maathai in the year 1977, and it was an environmental non-government organization which focused on planting of trees, environmental conservation and women rights. Hence, our final answer would be option A, that is Green Belt movement in Kenya was started by Wangari Maathai. Please also have a look at the explanation. Question number 35 contains names of 4 political parties, and we need to identify that which among them are recognized as national parties by the Election Commission. Now, before coming to the question, let us first understand the criteria for becoming a national party. Now, a political party becomes eligible to be recognized as a national party if it has won 2% of seats in Lok Sabha from at least 3 different states in the latest general election, or in a Lok Sabha or an assembly election, a political party should have polled 6% of the total valid votes in at least 4 states in addition to winning 4 Lok Sabha seats. This will be the second criteria. The third criteria would be that a political party has been recognized as a state party in at least 4 states. Then it will be considered as a national party. Now, in accordance to these 3 criteria, India has currently recognized 7 national parties. These include Indian National Congress, Bahujan Samaj Party, Bharatiya Janata Party, Communist Party of India, Communist Party of India Marxist, National Congress Party, and All India Trinamool Congress. Now, taking clues from this information, the correct answer would be option C, as Communist Party of India Marxist, National Congress Party and Communist Party of India are recognized as national parties. So our final answer would be option C. Please also have a look at the explanations. Question number 36 contains 3 statements, and we need to identify that which among them are reforms which were introduced to strengthen the political democracy in India. Now let's directly jump to the statements. The first one says anti-defection law. Now this is a correct statement because the 10th schedule gives the provision of anti-defection law, which provides disqualification on grounds of defection. Let us understand the meaning of this term defection. It means voluntarily giving up membership of a political party or someone who votes against the party line. Coming to the second statement, it says that political parties are obligated to file income tax returns. This again is a correct statement as it creates more transparency and accountability in the context of elections. The third statement says that political parties are obligated to hold their organizational elections. This statement is also correct as it represents the idea of democracy within the party and the idea of representation for each candidate. Hence, our final answer would be option D, that is all statements are correct. Please also have a look at the explanations. Question number 37 contains 3 statements, and we need to identify that which among them are the reasons for higher preference for democracy over dictatorship. Now we know that in democracy, the real power lies in the hands of all the citizens because everybody has the power to vote and elect their leader. Dictatorship, on the other hand, refers to the situation under which all the power is in the hands of one person. Now let's come back to the statements. The first one says that democratic governments have higher economic growth than dictatorial regimes. Now this is an incorrect statement because although the economic growth in a democratic country is somewhat slower as compared to a dictatorship, but there are many democratic countries which are among the economic superpowers of the world. Thus, statement 1 will be incorrect. The second statement says that accommodation of social diversity in a democratic country is a reason for preference towards democracy. Now this is a very direct and correct statement, and it does not need any explanation since we know a democratic country has a lot of social diversity. Coming to the third statement, it says that democratic governments ensure dignity and freedom of the citizens. This statement again do not need any explanation, as we know that this stands true in the context of democracy. So our final answer would be option C, that is 2 and 3 are correct. Please also refer to the explanations. Question number 38 reads that the authorization for the withdrawal of funds from the Consolidated Fund of India must come from. Now in this context, let us first understand what do we mean by Consolidated Fund of India. The first point to remember is that Consolidated Fund of India is the chief account for Government of India. Second thing we must know is that what becomes a part of the Consolidated Fund of India. So it is funded by ways of taxes like income tax, central excise, customs, and also non-tax revenues which arise to the government in connection with the conduct of its business. Now in light of this information, let us come back to our question. No amount can be withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund of India without the permission of the Parliament of India. Now this holds true because a provision for the same has been given in the Article 266 subsection 1 of the Indian Constitution. Hence our final answer would be option B, that is Parliament of India. Please also refer to the explanations. Question number 39 contains two statements, and we need to identify the difference between vote on account and interim budget based on these two statements. Let us first understand the meaning of these two terms. Now, vote on account is a special provision by which the government obtains the vote of the Parliament for a sum sufficient to incur expenditure on various items for a part of the year. And this sum is obtained from the Consolidated Fund of India. Vote on account can be passed by all governments, whether incumbent or regular or caretaker. Now let us understand the meaning of interim budget. It refers to a complete set of accounts including both expenditure and receipts, and it is in this way that it is different from vote on account, because vote on account only deals with the expenditure side of the government. Also, an interim budget gives the complete financial statement, which is very similar to a full budget. The last point to remember about interim budget is that it can also be passed by all types of government. Now, in light of this information, let us move back to our statements. The first one says that the provision of a vote on account is used by regular government, while an interim budget is a provision used by a caretaker government. Now, this statement is wrong because we know that both vote on account and interim budget can be passed by all types of government. Moving to the second statement, it says that a vote on account deals only with the expenditure in the government's budget, while an interim budget includes both expenditure and receipts. We know that this statement is correct because we just discussed it. Hence, the final answer would be option B, that is 2 only. Please also refer to the explanations. Question number 40 reads that local self-government can be best explained as an exercise in. Now, before moving to the question, let us understand this simple concept. Generally, under federalism, power is divided between two bodies, that is, the center and the states. However, due to the vastness of India, under 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment, local self-government was introduced for more effective administration of the country. Now, this breakup of administration under the local self-government is a part of democratic decentralization, which is the core guiding principle for introducing local self-government. Hence, our final answer would be option B, that is democratic decentralization, which is the guiding principle behind local self-government. Please also have a look at the explanations. Question number 41 reads that which among the following is not a fundamental duty? Now, let us understand something about fundamental duties. Fundamental duties were introduced in the Indian Constitution on the recommendations of Swaran Singh Committee. These were added by the 42nd Amendment Act, which happened in 1976. They form a part under Part 4A of the Indian Constitution, and they were introduced under a new article, that is 51A. Also, the inspiration for fundamental duties was drawn from the Constitution of USSR, and the main objective to introduce fundamental duties was to place before the country a code of conduct which the citizens were expected to follow. Also, there are 11 fundamental duties in total. Now, in light of this information, let us go back to our question. Option B, C and D, that is, to develop scientific temper, to safeguard public property, and to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals, form a part under fundamental duties. However, to vote in public elections is not a part of fundamental duties, and hence it is going to be our final answer. Please also have a look at the explanations. Question number 42 contains 4 options, and we need to identify that which among them are correct with respect to the appointment of the Prime Minister of India. Now, let us first understand something in this context. Now, the Prime Minister of India need not necessarily be a member of Parliament when he or she is elected. However, once the Prime Minister is elected, it is mandatory for him or her to become a member of either house, that is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, within 6 months. Also, if the Prime Minister fails to join any of these houses, he or she will lose the office. Now, in light of this information, we can clearly understand that option A is our final answer, which says that the Prime Minister need not necessarily be a member of one of the houses of Parliament, but must become a member of one of the houses within 6 months. Therefore, our final answer would be option A. Please also have a look at the explanations. Question number 43 contains 2 statements with respect to Delimitation Commission, and we need to check that which of them are correct. Now, let us first understand what is the meaning of delimitation and delimitation commission. Delimitation means drawing of boundaries. Now, Article 82 makes provisions for delimitation of the electoral boundaries, and this is done after every census. The main purpose of delimitation is to maintain a population seat ratio in the territorial constituencies after the election. It is in this context that Delimitation Commission in India is considered to be a high power body. Its orders have the force of law and they cannot be called in question before any court. Apart from this, whatever orders which are given by the Delimitation Commission of India are although laid before the House of the People and the State Legislative Assembly, but both the bodies cannot provide any modifications to these suggestions. Now, in light of these statements, let us go back to the first statement. It says that the orders of the Delimitation Commission cannot be challenged in any court of law. Now, this statement is correct as we just discussed it. The second statement says that when the orders of the Delimitation Commission are laid before the Lok Sabha or the State Legislative Assembly, they cannot effect any modifications in the orders. Now, we know that this statement is also correct because although the orders given by the Delimitation Commission are presented before the Lok Sabha and the State Legislative Assembly, they do not have the power to ratify any of these orders. Hence, the correct option would be option C, that is, both the statements are correct. Please also have a look at the explanations. Question number 44 reads that a deadlock between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha calls for a joint sitting of the Parliament during the passage of. Now, the first statement says ordinary legislation. Now, this is a correct statement because during the passage of an ordinary legislation, if there is a deadlock, a joint meeting of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha can be called. However, in the second statement, money bill is incorrect because money bill is only introduced in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha plays no role in it. Thirdly, Constitution Amendment Bill is also incorrect because there is never a joint sitting of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, as the bill is either introduced in Lok Sabha or introduced in Rajya Sabha. Hence, our final answer would be option A, that is one only. Please also have a look at the explanations. Question number 45 is a very direct question and it is asking that the distribution of powers between the center and the states in Indian Constitution is based on the scheme provided in which of the following acts. Now, the correct answer for this would be C, that is Government of India Act 1935. But let us understand some of the other important features included in Government of India Act 1935. Firstly, this act provided for the establishment of an all India federation which consisted of provinces and princely states as units. Secondly, the act divided the powers between the center and units in terms of three lists, that is federal list, provincial list and concurrent list, which is used even till now, and that is also our answer. Apart from that, diarchy, which was introduced by the Government of India Act 1919 at the provincial level, was abolished and instead provincial autonomy was introduced. It also provided for the establishment of the Reserve Bank of India and also provided for setting up of a federal court. Now these were some important provisions of the Government of India Act 1935, among which one is our answer, that is division of powers under federal, provincial and concurrent list. So our final answer would be option C. Also have a look at the explanations.